The thing with shame is once you've made that a part of who you are, your identity, there's an inner judge that's going to build a case against you to reinforce this belief. And this makes it very, very difficult because you go through life having experiences and reactions and actions that seem to reinforce this belief. And I've had such a deep experience with this particular thing. I've struggled with shame a lot. And at one point, at my lowest, there was so many things going on at once. I was deep in my eating disorder, living this double life, binging and purging when no one's looking, stealing food from my roommates, stealing food from the store. I was also doing other kinds of shoplifting. And at my lowest, I've stolen from people directly. I was in very unhealthy relationship dynamics in the sense that I was not careful with people's hearts and feelings, and I would hurt people. And all of these things I was so aware of when I was doing it. And I even wrote in my journal, like, wow, I'm so selfish. I'm so greedy. I'm doing all these things. I'm treating this person unfairly. I shouldn't be with them. Like, I was so clear mentally on what I was doing and judging myself so harshly for each and every action and decision I made. And it seems so counterintuitive. Like, if I felt so bad about myself for all these things, if I felt so much guilt and shame, why couldn't I stop? Why was I doing it again and again? Why was I still doing it even though I knew better, right? And that really plagued me for a long time because the only logical conclusion that I could come up with for that of why I'm still committing these actions, even though I know better, is I am fundamentally a bad person, that I am just a selfish, greedy person by nature, and this is who I am. And that is very insidious. That is very, very destructive. Because once I identified with that, then it's no longer just actions or decisions, it's who I am at my core that I'm judging and not accepting and hating, to be honest. I hated myself. And that went on for many, many, many years until in 2020, I decided to work with my first spiritual mentor. I remember that first session we had was completely life-changing for me. That was the turning point for me because up until then, there was so much that I was hiding from the world, from others, that I didn't want people to know about me, that I was ashamed of deeply. And I did a really good job at hiding these things and masking and showing up as a high functioning individual. But during that first session, I let it all out. I laid it all out on the table. I told her every single thing from as early as I can remember till that day. Everything I felt bad for, everything I felt ashamed of, I just let it all out. And that was the first time I experienced what it felt like to be seen and held with love and compassion fully. That was such a pivotal experience for me because that was the first time I got in touch with an expression of unconditional love. And this is so key in this journey of healing from shame and healing from this belief that you're bad or you're wrong or you're broken at some level. Because this unconditional love, this compassion, is something that each one of us has access to. But it might be so deep deeply buried or so foreign to you that you need an external reflection first to help you have that reference experience. And for me, my mentor acted as that reference. She held a space for me where I felt completely safe, loved, and seen in all of my shadows and all of my darkness. And then learning how to sit with these very uncomfortable feelings within myself, accepting myself and loving myself through them was the first important key that unlocked this journey of healing. Then the second thing is the perspective shift on why the things happened that way and why I chose to make those decisions. And what I realized was, even though I thought I knew better, I really didn't, because of my actions. If I really did know better, I would have made different choices. And the reason why I didn't is because at the time, in those moments, that's what I thought was the best thing to do. And it could get very complex. It's a mixture of nervous system state, my own conditioning, desires, and also this drive to reinforce the identity. It doesn't make logical sense, but it's like once you have attached to identity, your ego tries to keep it alive, and because you don't want to be wrong about yourself. So there's also that drive to reinforce the same story. So it's like a combination of all these factors. But what's important for me to recognize is, for whatever reason, that decision was the best that I can do. And everyone is always doing their best, given their level of consciousness, awareness, nervous system state, etc. So I really can't blame myself and hate myself for committing those actions in my past, because I was literally doing my best to survive with the consciousness I had at the time. And it's about extending grace. That's what self-forgiveness really is. It's not so much forgiving yourself for doing something wrong, but the shift in perspective that there's nothing really to forgive, because you are, or you were, at the mercy of whatever was happening to you at the time. So it wasn't your fault. That's not to say your action is excused or there are no consequences. Of course, there are always consequences to your actions, and you should take responsibility. But the part of the immense shame and telling yourself you are bad, you don't deserve love, and you're always broken, is not necessary. And lastly, I recognized that this is all a part of the path. You're not here for a perfect life, for an easy life, especially if you're watching this video and you resonate with me. I know that you're on a similar path, which is the path of alchemy, the path of turning these painful, dark, shadowy experiences into love, into capacity for compassion, into vulnerability and strength and wisdom. And that's the journey that our souls are here for. If we wanted to be perfect and just full of light and never do anything wrong, we wouldn't incarnate here on earth. We would just be the perfect soul light being floating around, but there's a reason why we chose to come down to earth, incarnate in this body, block some of our awareness, so that we can embark on this journey of being human, of making these mistakes, of having these negative beliefs about ourselves, of experiencing such deep darkness and pain and shame, but then come to the point of learning love, learning forgiveness, learning compassion for yourself, which then extends to others and extends to the world. So you're not defined by your past. Your past is just a part of the journey for you to become the highest version of yourself. So if you've been struggling with judging yourself, blaming yourself, believing that you are bad and unlovable and unworthy, I want you to know that that is not the truth, and that you are always loved, even in your darkest moments, even with these actions you've committed that you're not proud of. I promise you, you've been loved through every single one of those experiences, and you were never condemned by God. Because God doesn't judge. God knows you're just having your experiences and learning from it. And who you are at your core, at your essence, is something that is very luminous and bright. And I hope you can come to realize that. And this channel is about that journey of transformation, of metamorphosis, of going from shame back to sovereignty. So I hope this video helped.